But Carlton brought up something amusing to me, that Ted is a love bomber, which Ted is most definitely a love bomber. What's up, fellow Beyond the Gates viewers? We are back to talk about the show with today's Wednesday episode, which I want to say was a mostly better episode. I feel like, though still not thrilling, still not dramatic, but we started with Dani telling Vanessa that she can tell that something is getting to Andre and she's not sure what. She talked about the time that Andre started telling her about his time in Europe, but then Chelsea interrupted before he could say anything. Dani says she and Andre made a deal of total honesty, but Andre is holding back. Yeah, he's not the only one. But Dani did say that she isn't keeping up her end. She knows that. But Andre is not her, and he keeps his word. Vanessa asks what if Andre is having a recent affair, and Dani says it will sting, but they will work through it. I didn't know how I felt about that statement, because on one hand, it makes me feel slightly better that if the news about Andre and Heather comes out before Dani and Bill's elevator sex, then at least maybe Andre won't somehow look worse in the story than Dani, which is what I feel like the writers could be trying to do. But on the other side of things, they already kind of minimalized the fallout of the drama by Dani's statement here, saying if it was an affair, she would be fine. Unless they're saying it's even worse than an affair. Andre did something totally terrible back in Europe when he and Heather were close and they were in a relationship or whatever they were. I don't know. I just really need some drama from this show, and so statements like that annoy me a bit. But Dani doesn't think telling Andre about the elevator sex will open up Andre's vault. Dani is not picking up the cheating signs that she knows so well from Bill. This conversation with Dani and Vanessa was more of the same where Dani is concerned. Of course, she's not going to tell Andre about the elevator sex, even though that might make Andre open up. She doesn't want to do that because her own guilty ass doesn't want to do that. Let's just keep it real. Andre did go to see Heather like we knew he would do yesterday. Heather is saying that she's over this square version of Andre. She wants her fun Andre back. Andre is saying he needs to know why she's hanging around Dani and Vanessa. He acts as it a coincidence. Heather says that she's trying to get to know her brother's woman, Vanessa, and Vanessa happens to be besties with Andre's wife. Andre was still doubtful that it was just a coincidence. Heather tries to come on strong to Andre again. She gets denied again. I wonder how many times we're going to have to see this scene. Because you know how this show does. They're stalling. We get to see the same scenes, or just slightly different versions of the same scenes multiple times before there's any actual movement in the storyline. This is the second time now we've already seen Heather coming on to Andre, and Andre denying it. But instead of getting it on, Heather wants to reminisce with Andre. She asks him for this just, being a one-time commitment. It doesn't have to be a long-term commitment. It's just one night. She thinks that Andre is afraid that if he is with her again, he will never leave. But he says that he never thinks about Heather when he's with Dani in bed. When he does leave, he says, "You and me are not going to happen." She slams the door in his face, saying, "We will see." I don't love that we're going the basic route with Heather and Andre right now, where it just seems like it's about sex. It's about Heather wanting Andre. I feel like that is the basic direction to go. Not surprising. We do not have the most creative writers on this show, unfortunately. Heather called Vanessa after Andre left. She was happy to hear that Vanessa was with Dani. She wanted them all to go out for drinks, but Vanessa can't today. Turns out Dani can't either, but they do agree to hang out soon. Heather was drinking while on this phone call with Vanessa and Dani. After hanging up, she's very upset. She starts throwing things in her room. We'll get back to Heather. Vanessa ended up meeting up with a guy for renovating the casino. She wants it done quickly. I wonder if we're already going to get some sort of new set in the casino when we still don't have Kat's apartment, like a lot of y'all have pointed out. There's so many other sets we need. Ted needs a place to live. We don't really need something added to the casino. Joey already has his own place. Anyway, speaking of Joey, I guess, Mona was back at the casino to see Joey. She stopped in to check on Randy, but he's out on business, Joey says. Joey says she can save his soul instead of Randy's because he wants a chance to win back the money she won from him last time. They do get back to playing cards, and it seems like Mona really, really knows her card games. And Mona ends up winning again. Joey asks how she goes from holy to high roller when she walks through the door. She cashes out like she just finished Bible study and asked if she was a hustler in a past life. Mona says she wasn't. She says bingo was her gateway game, church bingo or something, and then she started studying card games. I don't mind that Mona's just somehow really good at cards. It's kind of amusing to me. I still don't know how I feel about the whole Mona and Randy thing as a whole. But it was kind of a nice change of pace than some of these other stories that I'm getting tired of or just completely tired of. But she asked Joey if Joey's letting her win, if this is some kind of way for Joey to give back, some sort of backdoor way to absolve himself of his sins. Joey says no, he only plays to win. Randy ends up walking in, surprised to see Mona getting a payout from Joey for a couple grand. She said she did come by to see Randy because he seems to only show up to work and never shows up to church. So we're still getting Mona trying to save Randy's soul. Later, when Mona and Randy were gone, Vanessa arrives to find out from Joey that there's this spark between Mona and Randy, according to Joey, which Vanessa doesn't believe. Me either. The one time I can agree with trash here. But then Vanessa says it's as crazy as Randy and Haley talks about how Naomi and Chelsea seem to think Randy and Haley are having an affair. Joey currently has no notes on those two, says Haley hasn't been by lately. Nicole stopped by to see Martin and Smitty. I don't really feel like it led to much. Nicole wants to have some dinner party and also wants to help Tyrell with Tyrell's current feelings about the breakup with Jessica and starting college. They also learned that Nicole chose to be with Kyle, and then Martin and Smitty got some alone time. But it really wasn't the most riveting stuff there. Ted and Carlton had a conversation. Ted wants Carlton to cover for him for the next peer review meeting because Ted has something to do. He's going to meet Shanice's brothers. What do y'all think are the odds we don't actually get to see those scenes with Shanice's brothers and then we hear about it after the fact because it took place off camera? That's my bet. But Carlton brought up something amusing to me, that Ted is a love bomber, which Ted is most definitely a love bomber. They talked about some time in undergrad when Ted was into this girl that Ted thought was Nicole before Nicole was Nicole in Ted's head, and that girl ended up having a husband. That was a kind of amusing conversation. Andre ended up stopping by to see Ted. He wants to know from Ted how Ted lived with his affair back in the day. They've already kind of had a conversation like this, so Andre is telling Ted that he's not cheating on Dani, don't worry, but he does need help. Ted talked about how he went about things after his secret affair. Ted asked if Andre needs help, and Andre says it's nothing he can't handle, so Andre's still not telling Ted what's wrong. I was hoping we would at least get some movement there, where Andre tells someone about this Heather shit, but no, I guess we couldn't get that today. Nicole ends up running into Andre and Ted when Andre is leaving and can tell that something is weighing heavy on Andre, and Ted says that Andre doesn't want to say what it is yet. Ted told Nicole he owes her an apology. He talked about the past when Nicole was fighting for them and dealing with not being able to have a kid, and Ted left Nicole alone and deserted her and gave another woman parts of him that belonged to her. Nicole said she already made peace with that, but Ted said that doesn't mean he has, so I guess Ted wanted to get this off his chest again after talking about it with Andre. Heather ended up at the bar, and Grayson was not the bartender, so that was nice. But she ends up running into Carlton at the bar, and he talked his way into sitting next to her. and having drinks. Carlton way more smooth with Heather here than he ever was with Nicole, in my opinion. They end up doing a lot of flirting, and she doesn't want to go back to his place when he asks, but she says she brings people back to her place. So it looks like Heather and Carlton are going to go back to her place. A random hookup here, but I'm kind of here for it. It's something new. It's something fresh. I don't know necessarily what that means for the Carlton character, but I'm open to it. Andre arrived home. Dani wants to know what happened, what's going on. She knows it's not about Bill. Andre said that something happened in Europe. She wants to know what happened. He says back then he did some things he's not proud of, things he never fully got to, and then Andre gets a text message. Of course, interrupting before Andre could tell Dani anything. It is a text message from Heather saying TikTok. I guess time is going by. I'm assuming what Heather wants from Andre is a hookup. Is that really all it is? It's very much a letdown if that is all that Heather is talking about. That was our cliffhanger on Friday. But Dani asks Andre what it is. We shall see if Andre tells Dani anything or not. So there was some amusing stuff today. I mean, overall, this show's complete lack of drama continues to be its biggest problem. But some amusing stuff today. That's about the best that I can say for today's episode. It was it was the most entertaining episode so far this week. We shall say that.